My name's Anne Easter. I've been a minister in the Church of England for nearly 30 years. Deaconess, then deacon, now a priest. I work in East Ham in Newham, looking after some churches with colleagues there. I'm very involved in the community. I've lived there all my life. It was a great surprise to me when I was invited to be chaplain to Her Majesty the Queen, hence the bright red cassock. It's an amazing privilege. I got presented to the Queen and we go to the garden parties and things. It's so exciting and interesting. We meet some lovely people. I've been doing Pause for Thought for getting on for 30 years now, right back to Derek Jameson and Sir Terry and now Chris, and it's great fun. I really enjoy it. I hope you'll like this pause that I wrote a little while ago when my dad died. My dad had been ill for nearly a year when his condition deteriorated and he was admitted to hospital. The next morning, on the 18th of August, 17 years ago today, the phone rang and a nurse said to me, "Your father is significantly unresponsive." I told the nurse I'd go to hospital immediately. As I put the phone down, I told my husband and children, it was the nurse at the hospital. She says Dad's significantly unresponsive. I think she means he's died. And with that, my family and I started to laugh in that hysterical way that sometimes happens in times of extreme stress. We were soon hooting with laughter at the phrase significantly unresponsive because my dad, who loved words and the way that people used them, would have laughed like a drain at such a coy euphemism. Then we started thinking of all the other things she might have said instead, each of them seeming more hilarious than the last. Fallen off his perch, given up the ghost, popped his clogs, kicked the bucket, been called to higher service, copped it, brown bread, obiit if you're into Latin. At least she didn't say my dad had failed to fulfil his wellness potential, a phrase I saw suggested in a recent medical manual. Now we know, of course, why the nurse cloaked the news rather than presenting the bald facts. She used an expression that she hoped might ease the pain a little. But I always feel that people of faith can be bold when they talk about death. We still miss my dad every day, of course we do. But as Christians, we believe that his death was the gateway to a new and golden life in heaven, where he's well and whole and free and reunited with my mum and all those friends who went on before him. And there's another euphemism. Dress it up or tell it plain, we all have to come to terms with death one way or another. The hope of a life hereafter and the joy of happy memories do not serve to obscure or shelter us from death, but rather put it into perspective. In a busy life in the inner city, I take my pause for thoughts when I can get them. Sometimes early in the morning when I take my dog over to the park and it's quiet and beautiful. Perhaps around lunchtime when there's a little bit of a lull between meetings and services and other exciting things. It's important to take a pause, but sometimes I don't. So what's giving me pause for thought at the moment? Well, who could not think and pause about those children in Aleppo in Syria? What dreadful scenes we've seen, and it really upsets me. I have 4 grandchildren whom I love to bits, and to think of those children so frightened and hurt and sad and separated from their loved ones is a terrible thought and makes me cry really to even think about it. But right at the other end of the spectrum, I'm also very concerned about Christmas. And I know it will come so quickly. So at the moment, I'm into buying pantomime tickets, thinking about who I need to buy presents for, and wondering what to cook to put away in the freezer.